Vroom, 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 vroom. Honk, honk. Get in, losers. We're going struggling. Vroom, 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 vroom. Hey guys, welcome to another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel's an empty triangle. It has been a while, hasn't it? I've been busy. There have been lots of things going on. I've just been a little distracted, but we are back. We are finally back for another bus ride, and we've got a great one for you today. We're playing against a 15K on OGS, so we're focusing a little more, towards the mid-range of our double-digit Q friends. But important things get highlighted in this game. We take a look at some bad peeps. We take a look at keeping our group strong, protecting cuts, some good important things. And so there's a lot to learn from this game. Anyway, as per always, I'd like to thank our opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching these videos, and I'd like to thank my Patreon subscribers for supporting the channel. So with that out of the way, let's get into this game. Okay, here we go. We are playing against a 15K on OGS. So we'll likely be focusing more on the basics than the beyond the basics, but we will see how this goes. So black chooses to approach our 4-4. We will respond to this. Just sliding back. And then black plays this move here, which I like. This is a fine move. We could look to kick, forcing black to extend, or we can just leave this as is. I'm going to choose to leave this as is, and I'm going to go approach this top right corner. But again, we could have kicked, we could have played a 3-3, we could have played 0-17. All those moves are fine. Our opponent responds, we will just go do the standard variation and slide in. Our opponent blocks, and so we will just go back and make a base. We should all know and love this Joseki at this point in time. It's probably the first one that most of us learned. And then if there's another one that we learned pretty early, it's this one. So black approaches my 3-4 stone high. We will just attach underneath. Black will most likely play the Hane. We will connect up. Black will likely connect here. We will extend, and then black will grab one of these two spaces. I would probably play the third line here, but I think either are fine. Let's see what our friend does with this. And our friend chooses to play high, and that is fine. So we've kind of just done some Josekis. Perfectly reasonable. Let's go grab the 3-3 here. I'm kind of considering playing something over here, but I think we have time to come back to that. So we'll just play the 3-3. If you felt that this was a little pressured and maybe you wanted to play D2 there, certainly wouldn't fault you for that. So black extends. We will extend. Black can Hane or extend. Black Hane, so we are going to Hane. Hopefully we also know this variation. Black will extend. We'll extend. Black will extend one more time. We will extend one more time. Black will likely extend one more time. And now we can Tanuki. And pretty strong, pretty strong play from our friends so far. They obviously know Josekis pretty well. I am going to come back to this corner. I'm just going to play D2 just to make this a little stronger than it was. And we've got a pretty straightforward game in front of us. We have a Joseki in the top left, we have a Joseki in the top right, and we have a Joseki in the bottom right. And then I guess this probably isn't quite Joseki, but it is. So this should be a dead even game right now. Right, it's move 30. I imagine AI is saying, hey guys, you're playing great. White's up by half a point, or black's up by half a point. But then the middle game's going to happen, and that's where things are going to get a little complicated on us. And that is okay. That is what we are here for. So black has a lot of options here. As black, I would probably consider G17 or P14 or a move like K7. This is probably the first move from our friends that falters and probably shows their rank a little bit. This is a very slow move. It doesn't stop an invasion at H4 or M4. And then there's the top as well. So what do we feel like doing here? We've got two options. We're going to identify where the big points are, right? You know, we have to look at f2 and go, is this Sente? The move is not Sente. So now we need to figure out where are the big areas on this board. And there are two big areas. We've got this area here, and then we've got the top. The top's a little contested. We both have third line stones. So neither player is really going to get too much up there. This bottom, on the other hand, potentially getting pretty big. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep it real simple. We're just going to play m4. When we look to invade, which this stone is, one of the main things you have to consider is, are you going to play a third line stone or a fourth line stone? The intent of the fourth line stone is just to get in and get out. Just reduce and then run away. Third line stone, the intent behind that is you're looking to live. If you're playing a third line stone, as you're saying, I intend on living here, you can surround me and get the center. I think that probably was a little too ambitious for us, so I played a fourth line move. This move is a little soft. It's playing too close to strength here. That's that's one of our beyond the basic rules. But this wall is quite strong, stronger than this side. So black should have played on this side, perhaps something like L3 or L6, K6. In this case, I played a fourth line stone. So let's be consistent with this. I said I just wanted to get in and get out. So we're not going to go deeper. We are going to get out. Got to stay consistent with your plan. You can't get too greedy. In this situation, with black responding with 0-4, this is already a good exchange for us. We're already going to, be more efficient than our opponent here. So we don't need to be greedy. We don't need to get more. We could have jumped in as something like m2, but then black could surround us and we potentially die. And that would be really, really bad. In this situation, again, we get in, we get out. So when black plays an aggressive move like this, we can continue to run. And so now we are just pretty much fully out, and it's going to be tough for black to stop us from fully reducing this area. But that is not going to stop black from trying. So in this situation, we can play here. And I think I'm going to. Because if we play on the outside and black gets to play m3, it'll secure a lot of points. This also keeps the two groups separated, the left group from the right group. So from a strength perspective, this is important as well, though both of black's groups are fairly strong. But this is a pretty big move in its own right, and so I'm playing it because it's a little dual purpose, right? Keeps the group separated, and because I guess it's the same. I guess it's just one purpose. It keeps the group separated because if black connects underneath, it does yield a lot of points. So keeping the group separated, both of them now need to fully form their walls. Okay, so black peeps, we are just going to connect. And then black extends. So there is a cut here. If black plays here and we Atari, they extend and we connect, black can cut. So I want to protect that cut. There's a cut here. One of our rules says you need to protect your cuts. So let's protect this cut as efficiently as we can. We're not just going to connect. We are going to go and play the Hane here. This has pros and cons. Black can peep at L7 and we will be forced to fill. But when black responds this way, we get some really good shape on the outside. So that's what we get out of this. So what do we want to do now? I think this group is healthy enough. I don't think this move is Sente. So do we just want to leave this group here? That's not really a basic thing. We would want to do something with this group. So you want to know what? I'm going to play once more here, just to try to surround, get this group a little stronger. Again, we could have Tanuki'd here, but that's not really a basic thing. That's not what I really want to be doing here. So now let's try to connect our groups up. I'm looking at a move like this. It's a good natural way of extending this group. It's a nice shape move off of the P8 and O8 stones. And so I think this just does a good job of, looking to connect these two groups. Remember, it's important to keep our groups connected. And this way our group is, hopefully you can see now, this group is nice and strong. It's going to be nearly impossible for black to be able to attack this group. This group's obviously strong. This group's strong. We have nothing but strong groups on this board. Black also has mostly strong groups, though I do question these 4 stones, because there are some weaknesses there, especially if we start with the peep at J5. But It's a little, I don't think that's a right now thing, but that will be a later thing in this game. So let's see where our friend plays, and we will base things off of there. Okay, good move. I like this move. It's a perfectly fine move. But what I am going to do now is, this does kind of create another group. It's a far extension off of these 3 stones. These 4 stones, nice and strong. So what we're going to do is we're going to play here, because this opens up a sneaky little trick that maybe we can show you. So we'll see. We'll see how black responds to this, but there is a little bit of danger once this move gets played. I'm curious if you guys know what that danger is. So since I brought it up, let's see. Let's just see if our opponent knows what the danger is. We're going to play this little move right here. Normally, black would want to play S18, but this stone makes it so we can't really do that. So black played R18, but let's just show it. Let's just show what happens if our opponent plays here. My question to you, my friends, is what would you do if white played here now? Well, you've got this cut you need to protect. So you'd protect it, and then what would you do if white played here? Ooh, you can kind of see things are getting tricky. Would you want to play this? Well, what happens when white plays here? You're like, well, I see where this is going, and it's bad. It is bad. It's really, really bad. We can't play here, because then this happens. And you can play around with this, but bad things happen. Anyway, so our opponent played here. This is great for us. It's a great exchange. So now we've already done our job. S17 has already done its job to make this all crunched up. Let's make sure this stone's nice and safe. So we're just going to jump out, keeping our stones healthy, nice and strong, so they can't be attacked. That is kind of the name of the game here, is keeping our groups strong. So black peeps again, just fine by me. We play this, we're even stronger than we were before. Gotta be careful with these peeps. And then black extends. I will extend as well. Black is getting stronger here, but black was already strong. And now this group that was potentially weak is now one of the strongest groups on the board. And black really isn't getting much out of this. These 3 stones, they're facing in a bad direction. They just aren't going to do too much for black. As were these 5 stones there. They're looking to fight now. These 2 stones could potentially be separated, and this wall's going to kind of control any fights that happen over here. Okay. Our friend attaches to one of our stones, and we know that when we get attached to, we want to respond to it, either with a Hane or an extend. I don't want to play the Hane here, just because there's a couple cuts on either side. So I'm just going to extend, just keep this group nice and strong. We potentially give up a point this way, but it reduces a cut. There's no longer a cut at R13, which is important because we have to protect our cuts. So that is what we did there. So I'm feeling pretty good about this game. My groups are nice and strong. We've got 3.5 corners, which is probably going to be enough to get us there. Our opponent pushed. Hopefully you guys see this as pretty much the only move we can play. And look at this shape. Look how strong this group is now. Look how strong these 5 stones are. Look how strong this group is. It's going to be difficult for black to do anything on this board other than just try to take territory. And I know that sounds silly. You're like, well, taking territory is how you win the game. But it's better when we can attack groups and get territory that way. And it's going to be tough for black to do that, as where we've got a couple targets. Black fixed one of them. Good move. Good move identifying that these 2 stones were a little weak. So now black is nice and alive here, nice and alive here. These stones look nice and strong. So that just leaves us this group. And remember, I said that I potentially wanted to go after this group. So let's start with this peep. Here, this peep comes with a purpose, because after black connects here, then we can look at a move like h3. It's a little complicated, right? That's a little not basic, but it's important to show these things, because we've got this strength here. We played on the other side of the strength, right? We played away from our strength. And now we could play a move like this. I think that's a little too much for a game like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play on the outside. I'm just going to try to surround these 2 stones. But something to consider is if I played here and you were black, how do you respond to this move? It's not an easy move to answer. And we could see a situation where we could very easily lose these 3 stones or lose these 2 stones. But we'll just play here. We'll keep it simple. We'll just see if we can connect to this stone. Let black connect underneath, and that is fine. This is still an attack on these stones. These stones are not alive yet. And anybody who's watched these videos before knows that it's important to know where your profit's going to be from your attack. In this case, my profit's just going to be getting strength here so that I can then reduce this group. And what's going to happen on this board is black's going to have their 4 groups. They're all going to live, but they're all going to get small points. They're not going to get a lot of points. If you look at up here, black's going to be getting maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe 12 points here. Black's going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 12 points here, right? And, and then maybe 12 points here and 12 points here. And so it's going to be about 50 points for black. But we can just look at one of these corners, and it's, 1, 2, 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's already 15 points. This is going to be 10 points. This looks like it's going to be 15 points. This looks like it's going to be 12 points. So it's a lot. Anyway, what do we want to do here? I think we just want to surround on the outside. So I think we're going to Hane here. Our opponent did attach to our stone, so we could either extend or Hane. In this case, I'm not worried about this cut because this stone, the G5 stone's also pretty lonely. So that is fine. We're just going to descend here, threaten to push through. Black should probably play H3 just from a shape standpoint. Playing G4 would be a little sad, right? Get that empty triangle. You know how I feel about empty triangles. They're empty, like my soul. Okay, getting back to the game. Black hasn't played yet. So let's see. Let's see where our friend decides to play. Well, he did it, guys. Although in hindsight, if he had played here, this gets tough because then this happens. We get this kind of nasty squeeze. So that's not too great. Anyway, we will play here, threaten to connect to this stone. And then we've got some interesting follow-ups because again, empty triangles, they're bad shape. The reason they're bad shape is they don't extend liberties. When we talk about shape, there's really 4 aspects of shape that are important. Protecting your cuts, maximizing your liberties, maximizing your eye space, and moving quickly. There's no way you're going to be able to do everything with one move. But the failure of the empty triangle is that you don't actually get many liberties. And now this group only has 2 liberties. So when we play here, black needs to be careful because we have a cut at G3, which is now going to Atari these 3 stones. And then we descend to G2, these 2 stones are going to die. Not important right now. These stones are not worth capturing right now. They are not big enough. But later in the game, they certainly will be. So that is something that, a little unfortunate side effect of playing bad shape. That's what happens when we play these empty triangles, and black recognizes that, but plays the ill-fated another empty triangle. Empty triangles all over the place. So anyway, we have a cut at F6 that we should probably protect. It's important that we protect our cuts. And so we want to effectively protect the cut. So let's just play this move here. Is a good way of protecting this. Because if black played here, we could Atari and then just push into this wall, have a bunch of liberties. I like this move by black. It's a fine move. Looking to extend here. Let's just go play this move. Make sure black doesn't get too much on the side here. Black attaches. We're going to respond to this. We're going to extend, which threatens to poke through. And so black's going to respond here. And so now we want to stop this from becoming too much. So how far can we play in? Well, we've got this stone and this stone. We can kind of draw a line between those 2. And let's play on that line. Some players will refer to this as the sector line. This is kind of, I usually call it like the boundary, right? This is the border that black is looking to form up to firm their territory. If you think you're winning, you can play one back. If you think the game is even, you can play right on the line. If you think you're losing, you can consider playing inside the line, because if you're losing, you need to go a little bigger. You need to go bigger and hope that your opponent makes a mistake. In this case, I think we're up, so we could have probably played h12, but there's so much strength here that I think it'll be fine. I think we will be fine defending the stone because we can run towards the M8 stone or the M13 group. Right? We've got two groups we can run towards, so this stone should be nice and safe. It's also worth noting black has some weaknesses here when we play G16. So here we could consider the Hane, but we don't need it. We're just going to extend. We're just going to extend, stay nice and strong, and we can extend here, which just gets us more liberties. Black doesn't even need to respond to here, but black chooses to, and that is fine. So let's make sure that our groups can't really get attacked here. We're just going to play this nice little shape move. I think this is something I've pointed out before, which is when you have this shape, if you want to move off of it after you've got 3 stones, you can play this knight's move. And the reason is when you play here, black can't cut because we have a ladder, which, look at that, goes right towards one of our walls that we set up. So we can play moves like this, which leaves a cut, but the cut's already protected because of this crazy strong wall that we had. And so this is a perfect example of how we can use strength to play a little more aggressively. Maybe we wouldn't have been able to play a nice shape move like this without this wall here, although just extending at G10 would have been a perfectly fine too. Potentially a better move than what I played, but I do like this shape. So this is what I chose to play. And now it looks like we're going to fully connect all of our groups. And like I said at the beginning, we've basically just reduced black to these 4 small groups. Black's going to get about 50 points. And honestly, this bottom left corner is a lot of points. This move, I don't hate it. I don't hate this move. Seems like a reasonably good move. I'm going to attach to it and just see if we can turn this into a handful of points. 10 points, that'll be good enough if we can get 10 points out of here. Black's going to be real careful with this. Black is very much in my sphere of influence here. We could Hane and give black the opportunity to fix, or we could cut. And I don't think we need to cut. It's a little murder. Wait a minute, we're going to cut. We're going to cut. I did it. I did it. Normally I wouldn't play this move. But then you guys complain. You're like, Gabe, you're too kind to your opponents. You know you have to cut there. Like, I know, guys, but it's not what I like to do in these games. But so I chose. Okay, I did it. I did it, guys. I took a cut. But yeah, all joking aside, our opponent did leave a big cut here. And so we have to constantly assess the cuts. And in this situation, this cut, it just looks so good because we've got strong groups everywhere. So black plays there. It's a peep. We do have to connect here. Ugly shape too. I admitted this earlier in the game, right? I said when he plays L7, we're gonna have to fix this, and it does leave ugly shape. I am real curious to see what our friend's going to do to make this stone something. Which way do we want to go? Let's just connect. I'm just going to connect. That's what I'm going to do. And this actually might be okay for black if black can get it, but not this. That is not going to work, unfortunately. Black needed to jump out because this cut isn't going to be too scary when we have a stone like this on the board. Because black can cut here, but then we can connect to this stone, and then these stones are fully surrounded. If black had played something like this, this would have been really, really good. We would have had this to be able to kill this stone and connect up. But this would have been pretty successful for black. I think that would have been good. I think black got a little greedy by playing H11. It's possible they suspected that I was going to connect at G10, but we don't need to. This cut isn't going to work for black. So let's see what our friend does. Okay, they extend will extend. Just keep this real simple. Here we don't have to we don't have to extend. Black can't do anything to disconnect our stones. So now we're fully in endgame. So let's go play the big endgame moves. That's where we're at. And R2, unsure there's a bigger endgame move than R2 on this board. It is big because we also get this as a nice follow-up. Black should probably ignore this because there are too few points here to go after, but Black answered, and now Black will have to play here. And now we can play something like this. And this is going to really reduce this into not many points. So let's see how Black responds to this. Black could probably just play K3. But even then, we just connect back, and Black still has to play J2. This is a big move. This may have been bigger than R2. But we're gonna get all the big endgame moves on this board, I think, because we've got N18 as well. Okay, this is fine. We will connect. Black cannot play M2 because we'll capture it. This is pretty rough for Black. We can play here. Oh no, I don't think this works, friend. I do not think this works. We're just going to keep this simple. We're going to play this. See if Black plays here. Black should probably play there. And you want to know, I will reward that good move by just capturing this and seeing where Black plays on this board. I think Black did a good job of recognizing that they were potentially in trouble. So let's reward that and see where Black plays here. Black could play B14, G18. Those are both pretty big moves. A9 is reasonably big. How do I feel about this? It's not bad. It's not a bad move. It forces me to play a power triangle. Remember, guys, when you play, it's a power triangle, and your opponents play, it's an empty triangle. But we still have two ways of connecting. This cut, I did a little bit of reading. We can Atari at K13, and then when he descends, then we can connect, and we'll be okay. But this was Sente, so there's nothing wrong with that. Again, A9. So Black does do the cut, but we can Atari the stone, which is a nice shape because it creates a bamboo joint to this, again, amazing wall that's just been here the entire game. It's fantastic. And then after this, we can connect, assuming Black plays here, I will just connect to make sure that we do not get cut off. So now these three stones are nice and safe. They're connected to this. Black, this stone could end up dying if Black doesn't connect. So we've got lots of ways to save this group. This isn't going to work. We can just play here. This stone will now never have more than 2 liberties. Black certainly can't cut here. And now we can play here again. It's kind of like a ladder. But in this case, we're keeping Black to 2 liberties. And so Black will never be able to gain, and all of our groups have more than 2 liberties, so we'll be able to win any liberty race here. So again, when Black played here, it's a peep, but we have to make sure that we answer these in the best way possible. You don't want to just connect. Sometimes you do. It's fine. But in this case, playing on top here was the better move. And so so now the shape stuff is kind of causing Black to fall apart here. And I've already gone over a lot of the end game stuff. So it might be time to go to the end of this one. Let's see. We can play here. This is fine. Wait, Black is still kept to only 2 liberties, and we'll connect here. Actually, we could get really sneaky and probably play this, but let's just connect. This will be fine, and I don't think that does anything for our friend. This group has 1,000,000 liberties, and we can just play something like this to continue to surround this. Black is putting stones more into our area, and we can just look to surround. So at this point, things are kind of falling apart a little bit for our friends. So I don't think we need to go over the endgame stuff because all the big endgame moves have already been played. And as I pointed out before, G18, A9 are the big endgame moves, and S18 and 18. That's really it for this game. So yeah, so let's just play here, another power triangle. And I think we will fast forward this one to the end of the game so that we can hop into the review. So I will see you there, friends, in like 10 seconds after, finishing this game up. Okay, so here we are at the end of the game, a little faster than 10 seconds. I guess I lied to you. Anyway, the game turned out pretty much, as we expected it to be, with Black having these 4 groups getting, just a handful of points per group. And obviously we were able to grab the corners and get those points. So let's take a look at the review of this game and see where our friends could have played better. Okay, and here we are. And we're just going to review this in the perspective of Black. So it's worth pointing out, it's actually interesting. So I mentioned that on move 30, I was like, hey, we've played Joseki's. This game's probably dead even. I even mentioned it was like, A probably says that White's up by half a point. That's actually exactly what it was. All of these moves are perfectly reasonable. And we get all the way to move 30, which is right here. And AI says that White is ahead by 0.5 points. So this game is dead even. All right, so everything is fine through here. Our friend has played very well. This is the first move that just felt a little off. It's just a little slow. This move most assuredly is not Sente, so Black should be looking for the biggest move on this board. I think there are a few options here that I would consider. I would consider attaching at A or extending at B. Those feel like the moves. I would probably play here. This is more of my style, but either move would be fine. Black could also consider a move like C. A move like D would be small. We could play a move like E if Black's looking to extend. We could look at a shoulder hit or a cap here. There's lots of options for Black. But extending, it's moving in the wrong direction. It's a second line move. It's a little early for second line moves. So I think this was the first misstep. And then this was probably the other, because this is playing a little too close to Black's strength. I think it's fair to say, I mean, there is this cut here, but with these 4 stones, this cut isn't really dangerous. So this is the stronger side. So Black should be pushing this stone into that wall. So Black could consider playing a move like this, a really aggressive move like this, move like this, and the question is, if Black plays here and we do the elephant's eye, what are we going to do? Typically, you're going to do one of the 2 knights moves. So you're either going to play A or B. In this case, I'd probably play here. And if White tries to push through, we just block. And you can see that this is going to be tough for White, especially with this wall right here. So Black can play very aggressive, but this is not an aggressive move. This is much too passive. Let's White get out too easily. So now White's out, and now Black feels like they need to come out again, or move backwards again, right? Moving in the wrong direction to make this group that was already strong even stronger. And so here we absolutely could have Tanuki'd, but this is a big enough move in its own right. And then Black plays this random peep. I don't like these random peeps because it's possible later in the game, Black could play here and look at a cut. Right, in this situation, maybe I would play this, but then there's a cut here, right? And this might not be good for Black. It's hard to tell. It's a little complicated, but this cut is definitely here. And now that I look at it, maybe White should have played here to fix this cut, because this cut actually is kind of difficult to deal with. But once Black plays here, it's like, oh, thanks, you forced us to fix our big weakness here. Now our group is just very, very strong. So Black could have Tanuki'd here or looked at the cut. But we don't want to play these random peeps just to force our opponent to fix shape. And then similarly here. So I think Black was a little worried that the group was going to die. So, so yeah, that's a little tough, right? So we end up surrounding. Here, if you're afraid that this group's going to, not live locally, you can also just look at something like this to try to run out, right? So that you don't get fully surrounded. Um, maybe this isn't great because it makes white stronger. It's tough. The mistakes really were with O4. Basically these four stones. These four stones just, you know, really set the tone for what was going to happen to this group. So it's hard to correct it now. I think the damage has already been done. Okay, but black finds good timing to take their Sente move, take a Tanuki, and play a good move. This is a good move. And I like black's response here. And then this, so again, there's danger with this Hane. Typically what you're going to do in this situation is you're just going to jump out. Once white plays here, there's really just no points to be had here. And so I would rather just jump out and try to affect the rest of the board. This weakens M17 because jumping to the end of the game, you can see locally here, black really didn't get a lot of points. Black gets 6 points here. Yes, this group ended up getting 12 points, but a lot of that is from the outside of what black gets. So when black plays here, it's really just protecting 6 points, and that's not a lot. So I would prefer to see black to jump out here. But okay, so we jump out because we're in trouble. Black peeps yet again. This is a bad habit because similarly, just like it was before, it's potential that this cut works. In this situation, it's quite dangerous. Black can't do it now, but maybe later in the game. Maybe after black has played a move like this, and then maybe I protect, now black could look at a cut like this. And this isn't as dangerous because with the P14 stone here, black can do a little bit more. So there's potential with this cut. There's Aji with this cut. But when we play here, it just forces white to fix again, and now white is very strong in this area too. And then yeah, again, black is forcing us to get stronger and stronger. Black should just Tanuki here or jump ahead. If black's looking to get eye space or trying to not die, that's fine. But this isn't a great way to go about it because now this group is crazy strong, and again, it's going to dominate any fight that happens near here. And I think again, black was kind of feeling the pressure, and I think was just playing a little cautiously to make sure that the groups weren't dying. But I think here black's going to be fine. There's definitely an eye here, and 016 is likely going to turn into an eye as well. I think there's lots of opportunities for black that, this isn't needed. This is just giving white a few more points. I like this move, though. I do like this move. And then we go here, and again, I mentioned that we could have done a much more forceful move here, but this is just it's a little beyond what we want to do in these games. Not even beyond the basics. This is just a little too firm. So we just did this and then went to surround, and I think black handled this as well as they could. This move's a little unfortunate. I think this is a fine shape point, and yes, it results in something like this. But this is still a better shape than that empty triangle, because once we played here, black needed to fix this. I wouldn't take this right now, but let's say later in the game, we get this Atari, black has to capture, and now we descend, and these two stones die because of this weakness. And here, none of that happens. We reduce, but it's not as bad. So anyway, so we play here, black connects, and then we go and do this. And honestly, at this point in time, the writing's on the wall. White has a very large corner here, a reasonably sized corner here, a very small corner here, and nobody has this corner. So of the 3 available corners, white has all 3 of them, and this one's really big, and black just has no points on this board because the groups are so small. And so we kind of saw how that happens. Black did the best with what they could at this stage of the game, but it was just too much. I do think this was too aggressive. I think this is a nice natural move that would have worked fine for black, and I would have been more than happy to just get this. Again, I was only looking to get about 10 points here. That was my goal, was can we just get 10 points here? And this would have been fine. But with black playing here, it leaves the cut. Black did not protect this cut and or assess if this cut was going to be a problem. Obviously, I'm sure black knew that this cut existed, but I don't know if black looked at what would really happen here. Though, you know, black did do a pretty good job with this. I guess here probably I should play this and let this happen. This is probably what I should have done instead of just connecting. This gives black the opportunity to play this, which connects up these two stones. We're still fine. Like, we're still, like, totally fine. Because we have this, we can also just connect here by capturing this stone. But by playing here, it allows us to, again, just fully surround, and then we just transition into endgame, and we end up getting all of the big points, which is just a little much for our friend. But a nice informative game. Lots of things to go over. We talked about, you know, peeps and, you know, keeping our group strong, protecting our cuts. These are important things that can help us navigate the game of Go a little bit better. So anyway, that's where we are going to leave this one. Thank you guys for coming out for another Ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.